You're looking for a microscope that won't feel like a piece of lab equipment you have to fight with every time you turn it on. You want something reliable, easy to live with day after day, and worth the money you spend. It's that moment when you stare at a stack of product pages, each promising endless zoom numbers and flashy LEDs, and you wonder if you'll end up with a gadget that looks impressive on paper but turns out to be a headache on the bench. That hesitation is real, especially when the tool you're buying becomes the centerpiece of a hobby, a classroom, or a small business workflow. If you're ready to hear a straight-up take on whether the stereo microscope lives up to the hype, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's picture the environment where a stereo microscope like this actually shines. Imagine you're a hobbyist soldering tiny surface mount components, or a biologist sorting insects, or a jewelry maker checking the setting of a stone. In each case you need a comfortable working distance. You don't want to be forced to pressure eye right up against the sample because the optics are cramped. The AmScope SM8TZ 144S 10M sits on a pillar-type articulating arm that can swing out up to 40 inches and clamp onto a workbench or table edge. That reach means you can keep your hands free to manipulate tools while the optics stay exactly where you need them. For someone who spends hours at a bench, that kind of flexibility can be a game-changer, because you won't be constantly readjusting the whole unit every time you switch from a PCB to a leaf specimen. The Trinocular part of the name is more than just a fancy label. 210 super wide-field eyepieces give you a roomy view that reduces eye strain, especially when you're looking at larger objects like circuit boards or mineral slices. The third port lets you attach a camera or a second observer without losing that comfortable field of view. In a teaching lab, that means an instructor can show the whole class what's happening in real time, and in a hobby shop it lets you record a repair process for later reference. That practical side of the Trinocular head is one of the strengths that actually matters in everyday use, not just on a spec sheet. Zoom is another area where reality can differ from marketing language. The 0.74.5 zoom objective provides a continuous range, so you aren't stuck jumping between discrete magnifications. In practice, that translates to being able to start at a low zoom to locate a component on a crowded board, then smoothly tighten in to see soldered joints at a level where you can judge whether a bridge is forming. The longer focal length that comes with the zoom also preserves the generous working distance. You're not forced to bring the lens unnaturally close to delicate parts. For anyone who does both macro work, like inspecting a beetle's wing, and micro work, like checking a watch gear, that flexibility is worth the extra cost over a fixed magnification model. Lighting is often the hidden trade-off in stereo microscopes. This model uses a removable, rheostat-controlled 144 bulb LED ring light. The word ring means the illumination comes from around the optical axis, reducing shadows that can hide surface details. Because the ring is detachable, you can swing it aside when you need to attach a camera or use external lighting, which is a practical convenience many users overlook. The rheostat gives you smooth intensity control, so you can dim the light for reflective metal parts without washing out the image, or crank it up for translucent specimens like plant tissue. In the field, that kind of on-the-fly adjustment can prevent you from having to stop and reset up the whole rig. Now, let's talk about who will actually benefit from this setup. If you're an electronics hobbyist who regularly desolders and resolders SMD components, the long working distance, adjustable zoom, and strong LED ring make the SM8TZ a solid partner. If you teach introductory biology or materials science, the Trinocular head and the ability to mount a camera mean you can turn a single microscope into a shared visual tool for the whole class. Small-scale manufacturers, like custom jewelry makers or watch repairers, also get value because the arm's reach lets them keep their workpiece stable while they zoom in on intricate details. On the flip side, this isn't the best choice for someone who needs ultra-high magnification for things like printed circuit board failure analysis at the micron level, or for a professional lab that demands certified calibration and warranty paperwork. The zoom tops out at 4.5, which, while adequate for most hobby and educational tasks, won't replace a dedicated metallurgical microscope when you need to resolve submicron features. Also, the unit size and the articulating arm mean it takes up a decent amount of bench space. If you're working out of a cramped desk drawer, the footprint could become a pain point. Finally, because the LED ring is removable, you have an extra piece to keep track of. Misplacing it could